So I just wanted to do the sun printing thing. It's really captured my imagination. And to start us off, I just wanted to share a video from the company that makes this paper. It's 20 seconds, but it gives us a really nice overview about what's going on here. So I am going to here we go. All right. So I'm going to be quiet while this plays.
Is it supposed to have sound, Brenda?
I thought it did, but I don't hear it. So let me just review this, because this is the nature paper. In this case, they've got a little folder that acts like the glass that I asked you to get. The kid holds it in the light for 2 minutes, puts it in this water, and then puts the hydrogen peroxide on it to make this the dark blue. So here's the thing, really simple process. And I think the challenging part for me is always figuring out what I want this to look like in the end, and then figuring out the steps to get there. So I wanted to, and I'm just going to stop sharing the screen, but you see nature print paper is where we are. And if you want to go back there, that's the company where I got the paper. And basically you put items on the paper, you expose it, you rinse it, and there you are. So I wanted to show you the page that I created, and then kind of walk you through how I got here. First of all, these are 5 by 7 inch pieces, and our calendar is 10 inches by 10 inches. So this is 2 pieces. I cut this one in half and put half on either side of my paper, flower papers. So then I just glued them down that way. So that makes 10 inches going across, 5 inches and 5 inches. But of course, you know, there are countless ways that you could do this make patterns. You could do some squares, you know, and then, or expose today, cut up squares, put them in a different order, whatever. But this is just something that appealed to me. I also really like combining text with some fairly graphic images. So the way that I got the text on the blue was you have a piece of tracing paper or vellum in your kit, and you have a gel Sharpie, and that will dry on this vellum. There is a little plasticky nib thing on the, you know, you have to pick that off of the gel pen before you write with it. So I wrote on here, and then I exposed that, and then that's how I got the writing part. And then you have, each of you have like probably 10 flowers and leaves and stuff. So you have a piece of cardstock in your kit that's 5.5 by 7. It's all different colors. Mine's pink. Yeah, many of you have red. I tried to make it a contrast with the flowers so that you could see where things were. So my suggestion is that you use that 5.5 by 7 to kind of plan out your how you want things. If you want to use these flowers, or if you want to use something else. You don't have to do this tonight, of course, but the reason that we did it again is so that people would have sunlight, and this paper exposes really quickly. So plan on 5 by 7 and then transfer it to the paper, and then expose it. But there are a couple more steps that I just want to go through. Okay. when you're putting your items on the paper, my suggestion is to do it inside under incandescent or LED lights. Fluorescent lights have UV waves, okay? So when this is exposed with UV, ultraviolet light. So you want to do it like, I have a bathroom that just has regular lights. I just go in there, set this up, and then walk outside with it. But before you walk outside with it, have your water ready. So once you've got your thing planned, get your water ready. And I suggested something that you're not going to use for eating. I use something that I use for eating, but this is one of my mother's
Not as I do.
not as I do moments.
Correct.
It's, you know, it's probably not going to be a problem, but I don't, you know, that's the best practice is to use something that you're not going to use for eating. And so you make a plan, put your items on the paper, get your water ready, take your thing outside. I want to show you something else here. Let me just see. Yeah.
And can I say something?
Yes.
What, you know, I am by a window. Is that good enough? Is that enough light? No.
You could try it.
Okay.
Okay, so oopsie doodle. I'm trying to share photos. I don't know if you can see this yet. Okay, so here is my, here's my paper with the flowers and stuff on it. This is what color it's going to turn when it's, when you first put it outside. This is what it's going to look like. Then when it's exposed, what?
It's not sharing yet, your screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
We see you, your lovely face.
Really close because I don't have my glasses on. Okay,
there we go.
so can you see this now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what it's going to look like when you take it outside. That's the color contrast with the white. Now, after 2 minutes, this is not a good photo, but you can see where your papers are is dark and where it's exposed turns light. And then this is what it looks like when you put it in the water. Okay. And here's, this is what the text looked like when I took the vellum and the writing off of it. Okay. So this dark blue only happens when you put the hydrogen peroxide on the paper. So after you've put your your paper in the water and it's exposing or it's rinsing off, if you want a dark blue, you then put hydrogen peroxide on it. I'm going to show you in live time here what it looks like if you don't put hydrogen peroxide. So here's not hydrogen peroxide. Here's hydrogen peroxide. It's a pretty big difference. So I kind of like this color maybe as a contrast, but I forgot. I was going to put this, just leave this light blue, but I went ahead and squeezed the hydrogen peroxide on it and it turned dark. But if you want a color contrast, this is kind of an interesting thing. I used this to test different markers to figure out what would work on the tracing paper. Okay, so there's your overview. As you're thinking about this,
is the sunlight, like we shouldn't do this unless we're ready to, we've got the sun shining, right?
well, if you, yeah, so
I'm
there
having
are
a bit of a monsoon right now.
okay, good point. So if you want it, I see that you're in a kitchen-ish area, and if that is UV light,
It's LED.
LED, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so it's not fluorescent.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, you want to wait
Okay.
to do this when you've got less of a monsoon happening.
Yeah, it's They happen fast here.
That weather is happening a
Yeah.
lot right now. So yeah, maybe you can get things planned
Yeah,
and have it ready to go for when you're ready to do it. But for those of you who also might not have light, natural sunlight, you could do this in fluorescent. It's going to be better if you get your paper closer to the fluorescent rather than farther away. And just, you're wanting to look for that color change so that when I took originally, when I had these paper pieces on here, when I took them off, behind there was darker and this was lighter. When you wash it, it then becomes the darker color.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the videos that I watched about this over the weekend, so the guy used he layered everything. He had the cardboard, and then he had the photo paper, and then he laid out his design, and then he put the plexiglass on top of it. Then he used like big chip clips to hold everything in place while he took it outside.
Yes, the point of the plexiglass, which I haven't said plexiglass yet, the point of the plexiglass is to keep things from moving around. So if you have the slightest breeze and let's say this flower's here and it shifts over, you're going to get a shadow image. Because another thing you can do is if you wanted to, after it's been exposed for a minute, you could put something else down and it'll create another tone of blue. It'll be like half blue. So you could play around with that, but you could put clips on the plexiglass to hold everything in place. For me, my board that I use is big, so big that I tilt it to take it outside and then everything moves anyway. So if I have it clipped, then I can't go and fix it. You're just going to figure out what works for you. But yes, clips can help. Joni, you said you did this, right?
Right.
Have you got other thoughts or suggestions right now?
What I had my first graders do is they collected nature things like flowers and leaves, and then they just laid it on the paper. We did not, I don't remember rinsing it. It was I believe the paper I got was just putting it, just when you set it out, it just was exposed. And then you lifted the things off when you were done, and that's what you had.
Okay.
I don't remember, but they really liked the fact that they got to collect the natural things, flowers and leaves, and lay it on.
Yes. Yeah, what I thought is that maybe not everybody has a little garden or something.
Oh, I
So
love
that's
the ones that you sent. I think they're beautiful. Thank you for cutting them out.
Yes,
You're
they
welcome.
are. I love them.
So, but it possibly was a different kind of paper, but it was Sunprint paper, and it may have been just made for children because they didn't want to involve the rinsing and everything else. So
sure.
probably the same process.
The thing if you go and look at sun printing, boy, there are lots and lots of different processes. And there are some people who use acrylic paints on fabric.
Ooh.
And if you get very thin acrylic paints and you paint them on wet fabric and you lay leaves and other natural materials on and then put it in the sun, what happens is as the sun dries the fabric, the paint is drawn away from the objects. Ooh. Because they're shaded and they are not drying as quickly. So the paint is wicked away. Basically, it's a wicking process. Yeah. So that's one thing that some people do. And then there is another type of dye sold by Jacquard to textiles, they have all kinds of paints and stuff. That is actually a vat dye that's sold as a Sunprint kit, but it's a vat dye, and vat dyes are activated when they're oxidized. So anyway, there are lots of different processes. So if you go look at Sunprinting, this is Cyanotype blueprinting. That's the style that we're doing here.
Can I just ask to make sure I understand this right? In the black bag, there's two pieces, two
Yes.
5x7 pieces, and that is the actual piece of paper that will be the finished product, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
we take it out of UV light, lay the things on it, then put it in the UV light, then
Exactly.
rinse it with water, then
Yep.
rinse it with hydrogen peroxide.
Yes, and I would do one at a time.
Okay.
So I do one piece of paper and then do the whole thing, and then the other one, because if the one is waiting to be rinsed, it's still processing.
Okay.
And if you let it go too long, basically it just turns it all turns white.
Okay. And how long do you let it go?
The video, this company says 2 minutes maximum, and do not overexpose. That's what they say.
So on this piece of paper, we just write on it and we put it
on the paper,
face up, right? Facing
yep.
us. Okay.
Yep. There's no reverse imaging thing that's happening here like most photo processes.
Okay. So cool.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of this.
Me either.
Do it tomorrow.
It's pretty neat. And then I was telling you about, I've printed rocks. I've just put rocks on the paper, and they're interesting because what you get is the circle where the rock was and then the shadow of the rock. So you get this dimensional thing. I've printed plenty of natural things, but most of the time they're dried, you know, like a dried fern or dried something, so that they're nice and flat. If you print something that has a dimension to it, you are going to see a little bit of shadow because the light seeps in underneath where the dimension is. But you can do it. I mean, this has a lot of flexibility. Part of why I just offered this up is because I know it's going to work.
I have a question about the rinsing.
Yes.
So you rinse it in water, and then do you take it out and put it in a different container and rinse it in, or do you just pour the hydrogen peroxide into the water?
Well, the video showed pouring the hydrogen peroxide into the water. So that's one technique that works. My hydrogen peroxide is in a brown bottle with a little squeezy top, and I just squeezed it onto the paper and held the paper up so it dripped down.
Okay.
But you could do it either way.
So did you wait till it was dry from the water?
No, you do it when it's wet.
Okay.
And this paper, when you get it out, you're going to see it's pretty thin. So when it dries, one second, I'll get you the name of the company. When it dries, I put it on an old hand towel to just let it, not get on other things. I haven't ever had it stain anything. So, that's just a precaution. You could probably just put it on paper towels and it'd be fine, but I'm a little over the top cautious.
So that's what the paper towel or hand towel was for. It was for each
For
product.
putting it on when it's drying.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And the name of the company is called Nature Print Paper, or the website is natureprintpaper.com. I am pretty sure that I ordered this on Amazon and, got it from, that's right, Allie. I got it from Amazon, but the company was selling it on Amazon.